Oh, and there's Jim. He's become more famous than me.
He's the man who arguably gave Donald Trump the presidency.
They are reopening the case into her criminal and illegal conduct.
The FBI director's investigation turning the tide against Hillary Clinton just days out from the election. But just 7 months later, after James Comey turned his attention to Trump's Russia connections...
You're fired.
An historic shakeup in Washington.
Comey is out.
This is something that caught all of Capitol Hill by surprise.
President Trump firing FBI Director James Comey.
Effective immediately. Who is conducting an investigation
Into the Trump campaign's alleged ties with Russia.
Comey's refusal to follow Trump's directive to drop it, he's undoing.
I was fired in some way to change, or the endeavor was to change the way the Russia investigation was being conducted.
Ever since, there's been no love lost. Trump calling Comey a total sleaze, slimeball, crooked cop, worst FBI director by far. Comey, too, pulling no punches.
He's morally unfit to be
The
president.
guy's a lying demagogue who you can't trust.
This president does not reflect the values of this country.
Values the former FBI director reflects on in his new book, Saving Justice, as he looks to pick up the pieces of the post-truth era in a newly post-Trump world. James Comey, thanks so much for joining us tonight. The central argument of your book is that democracy needs a return to truth and to faith in institutions. As we sit here right now, what state of repair would you say America is in at the moment?
In need of significant repair, starting most broadly. We have a situation in the States where millions of Americans have been lied to incessantly and have believed the lies about a virus, about our institutions, about an election. And helping them find their way out of that fog of lies is going to be the central challenge of this country over the next few years. As part of that, we need to help them find a way to trust again the institutions of justice that I write about.
So the undercurrent of what you're saying seems to be blaming Donald Trump for a lot of that institutional damage. What is that damage and how's it been done?
Well, most fundamentally, it's done by convincing people that the truth can't be found, that it's not worth trying to understand the facts or read reports because everybody is lying to you all the time. And that's disorienting and in a very, very fundamental way, corrupting of the institutions of government, especially those justice institutions that depend upon public confidence and trust. And so that's at the most fundamental level what he did for 4 years. The truth can't be found, it can't be found. And then at a level of above that basement of corruption, he just lied about the people and the work and about his conduct and constantly fed this notion that there's a deep state. You can't trust anybody in the government, especially in the FBI or the Justice Department. Look, Justice Department and the FBI are made up of people, and so there's all kinds of flaws. But that nonsense about the deep state and we're out to get Donald Trump was just that nonsense.
Sure, but do you think Donald Trump was assisted by an episode like, say, the Iraq War, where the intelligence establishment lied or embellished or exaggerated evidence and it led to that war? Do you think that makes Trump's message more believable?
I do. And I think I would throw a number of other logs on that fire, that maybe even more broadly than the Iraq War, a sense of breakdown in institutions and corruption of the people, the financial crisis, where people had a sense that nobody was held accountable. We elected a black man president, which has influences in America we don't talk about much, but generates, I think, tremendous resentment in a lot of places. And we're changing fundamentally as a country. White people are on a path to not being the majority anymore. That kind of change, all lumped together, is a recipe for polarization, division, and an open door for a demagogue. Donald Trump didn't cause the conditions that America was in at the time of his election.
Your vision of justice is fairly uncompromising. It should seek truth, it should establish facts and evidence, and then it should prosecute without fear or favour. And so it's surprising to hear that you think that Trump shouldn't be prosecuted federally. Can you explain that?
Because it's important in deciding on any prosecution what collateral impacts there might be to a prosecution. And in this case, I think the collateral impact to a prosecution, although it's a very close call and it could be wrong, but I think the collateral consequences would be to make it that much harder for our nation to heal, because he would have a platform in the Capitol for the next 3 to 4 years as the United States versus Donald Trump case bumps along. And so I think on balance, it's better to hold him accountable by now convicting him in the United States Senate, barring him from office and letting local cops and prosecutors go after him in New York for what he did before he was president, but not give him the ability to impede the healing of this country, which Joe Biden has to do.
Are you convinced that he does have crimes to answer for?
Well, I haven't done the investigation myself, but on the face of it, there's a long list of things that if you were going to investigate Donald Trump would be potential crimes: obstruction of justice crimes, extortion crimes, incitement to sedition crimes, financial conflict crimes, things of that sort. But I haven't put together a case, so I couldn't tell you for sure sitting here.
If Donald Trump has contributed significantly to the problems America currently has, and given the accusations you face of having helped put him there, do you feel that part of this is your fault?
I don't, honestly, for two reasons. First, even in hindsight, and I've re-examined it probably hundreds of times, I still think we made the right decisions for the right reasons then. And people who disagree should travel back and really dive into it and tell me what they would do and why. I think those decisions will stand the test of time. And second, I'm no political scientist, but I gather the way that one of the reasons people said, aha, the FBI made a difference in 2016 was such a large proportion of the late deciding voters decided to vote for Donald Trump. Well, the same thing happened again this time. And so I don't know that there's even a political science case to be made that the FBI made a difference. Again, it doesn't change how I think about the decisions, but I don't believe the FBI or me that I was responsible.
I know your wife was very upset. Did she forgive you?
Oh, yeah. I think she was most upset because of how much she loves me, for reasons that I can't fully explain, but that she knew that it was going to be very, very bad for me personally, and she was right. But sure, she still loves me dearly, again, for reasons I can't fully explain.
And how's your wife doing today?
Today is a wonderful day, deeply emotional day. She and I are going to have champagne. She wouldn't let me have champagne before I talk to you, but as soon as we're finished with the interview, I'm going to drink champagne with my spouse.
Oh, I'm a bit disappointed. If you'd done that before the interview, we could have had a much more unpredictable interview.
That's the problem. That's the problem. I get a little loose. You don't need that. I don't need that.
Well, I'll take that as my cue to release you for the rest of the night so you can get on with it. Have a good one. Thank you so much for speaking to us tonight.
All right. Well, I wish you well. Have a great day.
That is soft, Mrs. Comey. I'll have you know that Julia Morris and Chris Brown don't talk to us until they've had 5 champagnes.
Yeah, that's true. In fact, every guest we have on the show, that's the rule.
Yeah.
I don't know how he didn't get the memo. It's crazy. Anyway, the book is intriguing. It's called Saving Justice by James Comey, and it is out now.
Hey there, it's about time you finished that video. I contractually had to wait so I could tell you to subscribe. Subscribe. I'm waiting. Now I can go home. Woo!